Many of the objects in Chief Architect are based on polylines. A polyline is multiple lines connected at their endpoints. For instance, this rectangle is 4 lines connected at their endpoints here at the corners. So each polyline is going to have edit handles, the endpoint edit handles at each corner, and the move edit handle for each line in the middle. You also have the entire object's move edit handle in the middle of the polyline. The way these edit handles behave is determined by the edit behavior type or mode. There are 6 edit behavior modes that determine how edit handles affect an object, and may also affect how the objects are drawn. The current active edit behavior is a global preference setting. 2 of these modes, the default and alternate, are useful for most drawing and editing needs, and can be considered primary editing modes. Default mode, in particular, accesses the most commonly used behaviors and is the best choice for most circumstances. When an edit behavior other than default is active, its icon displays near the mouse pointer. Regardless of which edit behavior is active, the default behavior will be restored if you close the program and open it up again. The other 4 modes, move, resize, concentric, and fillet, offer special editing behaviors that may be useful only in certain situations, and can be turned on or off when needed. Each edit behavior can be temporarily enabled using different buttons on your mouse or by pressing keyboard keys associated with each one. These are called hotkeys. The hotkeys you can see are indicated here in the menu next to each one of these buttons. You can also specify which edit behavior mode is active when the left mouse button is used in the Preferences dialog by selecting Edit, Edit Behaviors, or by clicking the corresponding toggle button, which can be added to your toolbar, as I have done here. Customizing your toolbars is covered in a different video. The default mode is one of the primary edit behavior modes. It offers access to the most commonly used edit behaviors and should be selected as your preference in most settings. When I'm in the default edit mode, if I select an endpoint and click and drag it, you'll notice that it moves only that endpoint and leaves the other endpoints at the other corners exactly where they were. If I go to Resize and I select that same endpoint, notice the icon with my cursor is indicating that I have Resize active. Now when I select that endpoint edit handle and move it, it'll resize the object. Concentric works very much the same way. If I'm in concentric mode, indicated by the icon next to my cursor, and I select that corner edit handle, it'll resize relative to its center point. If I use the move edit handle on an individual line, again it'll resize in one direction only relative to its center. We'll use this alternate polyline shape to more clearly define the difference between concentric and resize. The resize edit behavior allows you to rescale an object. As you drag a corner edit handle of an object, you get exactly a scaled version of the original. For example, you can resize an object 50% of its original size while maintaining the same proportions when this mode is active. If I use the concentric mode and select that same edit handle, the concentric mode allows you to resize an object so that the distance moved by each edge is the same from its origin. For example, you can resize an irregularly shaped polyline so that each edge is exactly 10 feet from the original position, which is useful, for instance, when creating site plans with setbacks. You also have the fillet tool. With fillet active, if I select a corner or endpoint edit handle and move towards the middle, you'll notice that it'll fillet or round the corners. I'll go back to default mode, and you'll notice here that I also have a fillet tool and a chamfer tool in my edit toolbar at the bottom. You can fillet more precisely by using these. If I double-click on the fillet tool, I can set the fillet radius to exactly what I want it to be. Then I'll select the line, select the fillet tool, and select the opposite line to fillet the corner between those two lines. Also remember that you have quick keys. For instance, if I want to activate the concentric tool, I can use the quick key of C. I'll select the object, hold down my C key and then select that corner edit handle. Now it's activating that concentric edit mode. If I select the corner and hold down my F key, it'll activate the fillet tool. You also have a handy tool called Rotate and Resize about current point. Right now I have my polyline selected, and I have my Rotate edit handle indicated by the triangle outside of my polyline. If I select this edit handle and move it in a circle, you'll notice that it will rotate the object. However, if I go to my CAD tools and place a point, and then activate the Rotate and Resize about current point, now when I select my polyline solid and use the Rotate edit handle, you'll notice that it'll rotate around that point that I've placed. With the Rotate and Resize about current point active, I can resize it by clicking on Resize, select the corner edit handle, and now you'll notice that it's going to resize relative to that current point, not its center. Remember that when you've completed an edit, to go back to the default edit mode. You also have one other edit tool. By default, it's already in your toolbar called Edit Object Parts. As I mentioned, a polyline is several lines or arcs connected at their endpoints. If I select my polyline and select one line, if I try to delete it, it'll delete the entire polyline, all of the lines connected together. I'll click Undo, and then I'll select Edit Object Parts. Now, when I select one line of the polyline, it'll only select that line, and if I delete it, it'll delete only that line and not all of the lines together. With the Edit Object Parts tool active, you'll notice the icon next to your cursor. You can also use your edit types in conjunction with your copy tool. For instance, I'll select the concentric mode, then we'll go back to Preferences, to Edit Behaviors, and set the concentric jump to 12 inches. Now when I select my polyline solid and my copy paste tool, and then select an end edit handle, as I drag out, it'll jump to a 12-inch increment. If I release right there, it'll make one copy exactly 12 inches relative to the center point from the original polyline. Or I can use the multiple copy tool. However, the multiple copy tool, the increments to which it copies, is not determined by the concentric jump. It has its own setting. Once you've selected the multiple copy tool, you'll have the multiple copy interval. Here, you'll set the offset for the multiple copy. In this case, it's set to 24. I'll click OK, select the edit handle, and click and drag out. Now it'll make one copy of the polyline every 24 inches relative to the center. I'll go ahead and delete those. You can also use Rotate and Resize about current point in conjunction with copy or multiple copy. I'll select it and then place a point. Hit my spacebar to let go of the point tool, then select my polyline solid and my multiple copy tool, and then select the Rotate edit handle. And as I drag in a circle, it'll make multiple copies and rotate around that center point that I've placed. Again, remember to toggle off those special edit types after you've made your edits. Go back to the default edit mode. So you can edit any polyline-based object in Chief Architect by using different edit modes or types. You can access these modes or types either by going to your Preferences, to Edit Behaviors, or going to the Edit drop-down menu and going to Edit Behaviors, or by using the quick keys indicated next to each one of these tools in that drop-down menu. Or you can customize your toolbar with toggles for each of these edit types for quicker access.